70 years ago, on November 1st, 1955, United Airlines Flight 629, a Douglas DC-6B nicknamed Mainliner Denver en route from Denver to Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, was blown up by a dynamite bomb placed in the checked luggage. The explosion occurred over Weld County, Colorado, 8 miles east of Longmont, Colorado, United States at 7:03 p.m. local time. All 39 passengers and 5 crew members on board were murdered in the explosion and crash. Investigators concluded that John Gilbert Graham planted the bomb on the airplane to murder his mother, Daisy, motivated by resentment over his upbringing and the prospect of collecting a large life insurance payment. Within 15 months of the explosion, Graham, who had a lengthy criminal history, was tried, found guilty, and executed for the crime. And on the same day, the Vietnam War began. It was an armed conflict that took place in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, pitting North Vietnam, or the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, and its allies against South Vietnam, or the Republic of Vietnam, and its supporters. North Vietnam received backing from the Soviet Union and China, while the United States and other anti-communist countries supported South Vietnam. It was the second of the Indochina Wars and a key proxy conflict of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. The war was at once a post-colonial struggle for national liberation, a Cold War battleground, and a civil war with internal conflict marking it from the beginning. United States military involvement expanded sharply from 1965 until the withdrawal in 1973. The fighting later extended into Laos and Cambodia, where civil wars ultimately ended in 1975, with all 3 nations coming under communist control. Following the French Union's defeat in the First Indochina War from 1946 to 1954, Vietnam achieved independence under the Geneva Accords but was divided at the 17th parallel. The Viet Minh, led by Ho Chi Minh, governed the North, while the United States began funding and militarily supporting the South under Ngo Dinh. North Vietnam organized and supplied the Viet Cong, a coalition of southern insurgents who began a growing guerrilla war in 1957. In 1958, North Vietnamese forces entered Laos, establishing the Ho Chi Minh Trail to deliver supplies to the Viet Cong. By 1963, roughly 40,000 soldiers from North Vietnam's People's Army, equipped with Soviet-Chinese weapons, had been deployed to assist the southern insurgency. President John F. Kennedy expanded United States involvement from 900 military advisors in 1960 to 16,000 in 1963, and increased aid to the Army of the Republic of Vietnam with limited success. That same year, President Diem was overthrown and assassinated in a United States-backed coup, deepening the instability in South Vietnam. After the Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1964, the United States Congress approved a resolution granting President Lyndon B. Johnson broad authority to expand military operations without a formal declaration of war. Johnson responded by initiating a sustained bombing campaign against North Vietnam and deploying combat troops, increasing U.S. troops from 184,000 in 1966 to 536,000 by 1969. American strategy relied heavily on air power and overwhelming firepower, conducting search and destroy missions in rural regions. In 1968, North Vietnam launched the Tet Offensive. Through a military setback for the North, it convinced many Americans that victory was unattainable. When Richard Nixon took office, he introduced Vietnamization in 1969, shifting combat responsibility to the Army of the Republic of Vietnam while United States troops gradually withdrew. The 1970 Cambodian coup prompted an invasion by North Vietnamese forces and a counteroffensive by United States and South Vietnamese troops, intensifying Cambodia's civil war. By 1972, most American forces had left Vietnam, and the 1973 Paris Peace Accords marked the formal end of United States involvement. However, the truce quickly collapsed, and fighting continued until the North's 1975 Spring Offensive culminated in the fall of Saigon. Vietnam was officially reunified under communist rule in 1976. The war's toll was devastating. Estimates of Vietnamese military and civilian deaths ranged between 970,000 and 3 million. Additionally, around 275,000 and 310,000 Cambodians, 20,000, 62,000 Laotians, and 58,220 United States service members lost their lives. Its aftermath triggered the exodus of Vietnamese boat people and the wider Indochina refugee crisis, during which millions fled and roughly 250,000 died at sea. With 1/5 of South Vietnam's forests were sprayed with toxic herbicides, causing severe health consequences. The Khmer Rouge later carried out the Cambodian genocide, and the Cambodian-Vietnamese War erupted in 1978. In retaliation, China invaded Vietnam, sparking border crashes that persisted until 1991. And the United States, the conflict fostered widespread Vietnam syndrome, a reluctance to engage in foreign military interventions, and along with the Watergate scandal, contributed to a deep national crisis of confidence throughout the 1970s. Well, that's all the history that I have for you all today. I know it's hard for Vietnam, but it's hard to believe it's been 70 years since that dreadful conflict took place. Those who were Vietnamese, never forget it. And those who served in Vietnam, I salute you for all your services on both sides. If you like what you hear, leave a comment down below and subscribe and tell me what you think about it. This is Stephen Luke, and this is the first day of November in 2025. I'll see you next time for another history update. God bless Vietnam.